It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
A message from Channel 4, the vision of St. Louis.
This is News 4, live at 10.
Born just 12 days ago, her parents call her a miracle, but her birth may also be the result of an experimental medical procedure. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. Mother's Day is meant to be a special one for every mom.
But this day is extraordinary for one new mother in Ferguson who thought it would never come. News 4's Jane Skinner explains.
Well, she's definitely a miracle baby.
A miracle baby. We've heard that claim from proud parents before, but the fact that Jordan Van Sickle is here is most astonishing. Her mother, Chris, had been pregnant 7 times before, and every time she lost the baby to an unexplained miscarriage. But 12 days ago, healthy 7-pound Jordan was born.
Well, she's a splendid Mother's Day gift.
Why did Chris lose so many babies and not this one? No one is certain, but what she did differently was take part in the study on women with recurrent miscarriages at Washington University. It involves an experimental transfusion. Half of the women are given a transfusion of their husband or partner's white blood cell, believed by some to help with pregnancy. The other half are just given a placebo, but the study is blind, so that no one will know who got the transfusion and if it helped until the study is over. Dr. Randy Odom is running the experiment, and he's not convinced the transfusion is what's working. He says instead the key may be stress relief that comes from the extra time and attention he gives to the expectant mothers in the study.
It certainly makes the patients happier to have this constant feedback and a good source of finding out what's going on, what are the answers to their problems.
There we go. There's this one.
Steve and Chris Van Sickle say they'd like to know if the transfusion is what made this baby possible. Then other hopeful parents won't have to go through what they did 7 times over.
You know, it's unbelievable that something went right. We don't know what, but something did.
Jane Skinner, News 4.
It may be years before researchers know what role, if any, the experimental transfusion played in Jordan's birth. The study won't be over for another 3.5 years. It is funded by a grant from the National Institutes of Health.
In other news, St. Louis police are continuing their search for the killer of a Soulard gas station clerk. 22-year-old Almetris Matthews was working the overnight shift at the Clark station at 7th and Russell. She was covering for a co-worker's honeymoon. She talked to a friend at 4 a.m. By 5 a.m., she'd been fatally shot in the back of the head. Police believe she left her bulletproof cashier's cage in order to restock the store. Today, police recanvassed the neighborhood and issued a call for help.
If anybody knows anything about this, to call me or my office, call anybody. Call 911 or call the homicide hotline, and we need your help.
And here is the homicide hotline the sergeant mentioned. If you can help, call police at 444-5830.
Tomorrow, the major case squad is expected to scale back the investigation into the abduction and murder of Angie Hausman. The 9-year-old St. Anne girl was kidnapped and murdered last November. Barring any new breaks, the number of detectives assigned to the case will be cut from 12 to 6. Police say they aren't giving up and they will stay on the case until there is an arrest.
2 North St. Louis County teenagers are charged tonight with terrorizing a Florissant woman in her own home.
Police say the victim knew one of the suspects. She's engaged to his father. It happened last night just before 10. The victim walked into her home in the 2300 block of Parker Road to find 2 youths robbing it.
They actually forcibly took her by gunpoint. They taped her hand, her mouth, and her feet. And then they taped her to a pole in the basement area of the home.
Once the teens had the woman out of the way, they tore through her home, grabbing clothing, jewelry, credit cards, and 5 guns. Then they took off in her car. The woman managed to break free and call police. The stolen vehicle was spotted a short time later. The pair dumped it and fled on foot. Officers chased one of the suspects into a nearby wooded area.
He turned on the officer in a moving gesture to indicate that he had a weapon in order to gain the attention of the officer to have him stop. With that, and in the darkness, the officer fired 2 shots.
Neither shot hit the suspect. A police canine unit later found the youth hiding in a tree. Lowry says the officer's actions were justified.
I further believe that we were dealing with some very dangerous criminals, and he acted properly and acted instinctively as I would have in that particular case.
Other officers caught the second suspect tonight. 17-year-old Bruce Stratton faces 6 felony charges and is being held on $15,000 bond. The other suspect is 16 years old. He is being charged under the juvenile code.
Right now, St. Louis police are on the scene of a possible homicide on the city's north side. Investigators are working the scene of an apparent drive-by shooting in the 4200 block of Code Brilliant. The videotape you're looking at was just shot and just brought in here to News 4. Reportedly, 2 people have been shot. Homicide detectives have been called to the scene. Police say the victims were attending a backyard Mother's Day party when shots rang out, apparently from a car that was driving through the alley. And we'll have more on this breaking story as information becomes available. Well, the St. Louis metro area sitting right in the path of an upcoming solar eclipse.
Mike Roberts is going to tell us just what that means.
It means we are going to get a rare sight, and I've got news on that and also what's ahead for the work week, so don't go away.
Well, we have to thank you for the day and ask you for these tips on watching the eclipse.
Yep. Well, you're welcome, and okay. I got all kinds of, I got about 9 minutes of weather I'm going to compress into about 3 minutes, but I do want to remind you, and you probably know already by now, that we are going to be witness to a spectacular event on Tuesday morning. It's an annular solar eclipse. Now, an annular solar eclipse is something less than a total solar eclipse, but still, this is going to be very close to that, and it will start at 10:14 in the morning on Tuesday and wrap up at about 1:42. And here's what's going to happen. Now, the moon is going to be passing between the sun and the earth. Its shadow will begin to work in front of the sun at around 10:14, but the best viewing is going to be right around noon, as the shadow almost closes completely over the top of the sun, or at least lends itself to that appearance. At 11:53, we're going to peak, and it will all be over at about 1:42. Now, the path of this beautiful event is going to go right over the top of St. Louis. We, along with Detroit, along with the folks down in Dallas, well, actually north of Dallas, are going to get a great look at this. And as a matter of fact, in addition to this path being perfectly located for us, we're also going to have great weather, so you're welcome. Now, you do not, and I want to emphasize this, you do not want to look directly at the sun. So, first of all, if you want some help, why don't you head down to the St. Louis Science Center. The St. Louis Astronomical Society, as always, will help you out. And also, Debbie Gremmelsbacher's Astronomy Club class is going to help you out if you go down to Parkway South High School, but they'd like you to call ahead, 394-8300, 394-8300. Now, here's another suggestion. Why don't you do this? Why don't you make your own viewer? All you need are 2 pieces of stiff white cardboard, cut a 2-inch hole in one of them, and then tape over some aluminum foil over the top of that 2-inch hole, and then using a pin, poke a hole in the foil. And all you have to do is line up the one with a hole like this. Here. Watch me, watch Mike. All you got to do is stand with your back to the sun and line up the sun so that it goes through this little pinhole and right on top of this board. And actually, this works very well. I know, I've tried it myself before. Let's watch the sun goes down. We've been looking west across downtown St. Louis all evening long. And my goodness, we had a beautiful sight. Some clouds to the north of us produced some rainfall to the north of us and just a few scattered showers here, but no threat of ruining what's left of Mother's Day Eve. It is still beautiful out there. 67 was our high temperature. That is about 4 degrees shy of the norm. 43 was our low this morning. That's a lot colder than the normal, which is 53. And we now have a few clouds. It is 60 degrees. Winds are out of the south at 10 miles an hour. Our relative humidity is 55%, and the barometer is falling. Well, there is a cool front to the north of us, but there is so little moisture in the atmosphere that this cool front, though it will be arriving here in St. Louis at about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, will pass by without producing much in the way of cloud cover, much less precip. We had an upper air disturbance responsible for the showers that we have in a few spots to the north of us. It's all history, folks. We're going to look for some nice weather ahead. A few clouds tomorrow morning, then clear skies tomorrow evening. We are going to see some rainfall well to the south of us, and that's where it's going to stay. On Tuesday, we'll have sunshine. Those folks will have rainfall, and lots of it in parts of Texas, with rain in some places exceeding 2 inches, but that'll be way down Texas way. For the rest of Mother's Day Eve, we'll look for just a few clouds overnight. We'll drop down to 48 degrees, and then at lunchtime, partly sunny, 67 degrees. After a few clouds in the morning, and 71 degrees is going to be our top temperature for Monday. Tuesday, eclipse day, 74 degrees under mostly sunny skies. It'll be warmest on Wednesday with a high of 77. Afternoon showers on Thursday. Then Friday, showers and thunderstorms with a high of 72 degrees. Not to worry if you didn't catch all that. I know there was a lot there, because you're going to hear more than you ever hoped you would about an annular eclipse in the next 48 hours.
Okay. Well, I liked your model. It was so much easier than those shoebox things they used to tell us how to do.
I
when
did
we were
try
younger.
this, and it works very well.
Good.
Thanks,
Good
Mike.
try. Thanks. Well, sports is coming up next. The Cards get good pitching, but it's wasted.
Dave will show you why.
And for the last time ever, that's a quick look at sports.
And you really mean for the last time ever.
is
We
correct.
have to tell you that Dave is leaving News 4 to move on to a new life.
Trading in the sports reporting for Financial World. He's going to be a financial advisor here in town, and we're going to wish you well. It's been a long time covering sports, and we wish you the best.
Well, thank you very much. I have been in the business now 10 years, including close to 5 years at KMOV, and there are a lot of things that I will miss about the business, particularly the viewers out there who have always been very kind to me, either stopping me on the streets or writing in or calling me on the phone. I appreciate that. Without, of course, your support and your help, I wouldn't be much of anything now, would I? However, there is one thing that I will not miss, and that is putting on makeup. I never did like that part of the business at all.
Don't
that clears
believe
up
it.
some rumors.
Exactly.
You can give your false eyelashes to Evan, all
I'll
right?
pass that on.
Well, it's been wonderful.
Thank you all.
Enjoyed it
Appreciate
very much.
Very much. Thanks, Evan.
That's going to do it for us. Have a good night.
So long.
This year, more than 700,000 people will find out they have diabetes. Call to sign up for the American Diabetes Bike-a-thon on Saturday, May 14th to help raise money for vital programs. Together, we'll help the victims of diabetes for the vision of St. Louis.